Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner Horror Podcast. I'm your host as always, Corey, and this is episode 8. This is going to be a kick-ass double feature between two New York style 80s movies. Um, Basically, just a quick disclaimer, I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth because I love both of these films. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. It's from 1982, Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper. This film follows a lieutenant by the name of Fred Williams, and basically he's following or investigating a slew of gruesome murders upon women in New York. Upon his investigation, he ends up finding out some information on other characters throughout this movie, and which helps him along throughout his investigation. He gets misled at times, and then ultimately ends up finding himself kind of involved in a sense with these murders. Now, upon this movie, you won't actually find out who the murderer is till the end of the film, just because that's giallo at its best. It's going to keep you guessing throughout the whole film. Now, uh, Lieutenant Fred, he, uh, like I said, he gets involved with this a little bit, and just because you don't actually know what the motive of the killer is until the end of the film too. Um, in which he ends up, like I said, he hires people and stuff like that. I believe there's like a professor that comes in and kind of helps him with the investigation, in which at times you end up guessing, could he be the killer? Could she be the killer? So there's a lot of what ifs or who potentially is the killer of this film. So with that, I'm just kind of stop right there with the story and just jump straight into some of my thoughts on this film. So this is a very sleazy and raunchy 80s style classic Fulci film. And basically, some might even say that this is his sleaziest film, which I couldn't agree more. This is very, like I said, sleazy and raunchy. Um, there's even some scenes where there's like live sex shows, stuff like that. So it's very sleazy. Uh, with that being said, let's just jump straight into some of the murder scenes. Very gruesome uh, and quite gross kills in this film. There's a couple scenes where there's almost like female mutilation in her region type deal. So obviously the killer has kind of a, I wouldn't say hatred, but well, okay, maybe a hatred towards women. That seems to be what is being brought up. So again, the motive for the killer really isn't understood until the end of the film. Um, I will say that there is some scenes of grotesque that is classic Fulci. There's a kind of eye mutilation scene which he's kind of known for, and there's basically, you see behind me the razor. So the razor gets slid across this woman's eye, in which her eye's moving the whole time, and that's pretty damn cool. Actually, I was actually quite amazed by that. Um, there's even a headshot scene that's actually pretty decent. So overall thoughts on this: I love this film. Um, I enjoyed the sleaziness of this film, the grotesque of this film, um, the '80s grit of this film. Everything about this movie screams me loving this film. Um, Things that I disliked about it, and there's really only one thing. About halfway through the movie, you get to know two characters that are kind of brought into the film by the name of Peter and Faye. Pretty much, it, I wish that they were brought in kind of earlier on. It almost seemed like you were being brought up to speed of who these people were um, closer to the end of the film, in which they are quite essential to this film. They're kind of essential to the storyline of this film. Um, but yeah, overall, I that's the only thing that I can really ultimately say that I was just not pleased with this film. Um, Fulci at his best. This is a great movie. I love this movie, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I said, I would probably change that one detail. But other than that, it's a great film. Like I said, I can't say enough about Giallo style. I love Giallos. I love the fact that I was sitting on the edge of my seat guessing who the killer was throughout the whole movie. Um, that was always fun, or that is always fun, shall I say? That's why I like Giallos so much. So I was quite pleased with this. Honestly, this was probably the third time I've ever watched this movie. The first time that I watched it, I think I was quite tired and just honestly just laying on the couch, like halfway in and halfway out. And then I think I watched it with a buddy of mine who actually introduced this film to me, and I remember loving it then. But ultimately, I wanted to recap and rewatch it and actually fully pay attention to it and devote my time to it. So I stayed up late one night and watched it and loved it. Great film. Can't say enough about it. Haven't seen it. Sorry I spoiled things for you. You need to go check this out. This is a good film. The second film, um, I love this film. I watch it quite often. Um, Maybe need to watch it a little bit more. Um, Honestly, I was scared to give the remake a chance, but I'm glad I kind of did. The remake was actually pretty decent, but if you want, I can do a separate video on that one. But right now, I'm just gonna do one on 1980 Maniac. This film follows a serial killer by the name of Frank Zito, played by Joe Spinell, who actually helped write this film. Um, but yeah, right away, you already know who the killer is. You follow him throughout the film. Um, but yeah, he's the killer. He goes around murdering women almost to preserve them for himself. I'm that's what I got out of this film. Basically, when he murders women, he ends up scalping them and then placing their scalp on a mannequin. Um, and I guess that's his way of keeping them for himself. Um, Pretty much after that, he ends up like trying to live somewhat of a normal life. You can tell there's some undertones of child abuse in a sense, both physical and mental. And what I mean by that is his mother. You can almost tell that his mother was a prostitute or a hooker. Um, there's this one scene where he's got a woman tied up in bed, and pretty much almost like a Norman Bates type role. He tends to have a dialogue with her, almost pretending like she's his mom. Um, and before he ultimately kills her, she's trying to calm him down, because she's like, afraid for her life, and he's like, they don't love you like I love you. Tonight you're gonna stay home, and I'm gonna keep you. And so it almost seems like he's got a very messed up childhood with his mom, um, in which he ultimately ends up killing that girl. Uh, but yeah, throughout the movie, you could tell he almost doesn't want to do what he does. Um, in which he has a dialogue one day between himself and his mom. So he has this dialogue where she's like, I wish I could stop you from doing this, but I know I can't. You know, so it almost seems like he wants to stop doing this, but he just can't resist. He has to do it. Um, in which he ends up meeting a girl and trying. It almost seems like he's trying to live a double standard or a normal life, in which doesn't work out well for him because there's this one scene where she walks away from him, and the whole time he's just like staring her down and breathing heavy, and it's just the inner demon almost comes out every time with this guy. Joe Spinell portrayed this character really well, and honestly, I wish he would have done more horror because he was awesome in this role. Um, But yeah, I'm gonna leave the story there and just jump straight into some things about this film. Um, so yeah, the storyline about Joe, or Frank, sorry, Frank Zito, almost seemed, like I said, he almost seemed like he had been mentally and physically abused, and you do find that out through him having dialogue between himself and his mom and stuff like that. And there's even one scene where he's got glasses on. I believe that's the scene where he's got glasses on, and he burns one of the mannequins with cigarettes. Now, prior to this, one of the intro scenes of the film is him crawling out of bed without a shirt on, and he's got scars on his chest. So right there tells you that he was burnt as a child by cigarettes. Um, and pretty much the mindset behind him scalping the women and placing their scalps on the mannequins is again, like I said, him trying to preserve, or I guess trying to keep them for himself. I don't believe he gets anything sexually from this, because there's at one point in time he even tells a woman to keep her clothes on. So he doesn't gain anything sexually from any of this. He purely does it just because he probably feels that he needs to do it. Um, I can't say nothing about this that I hate. I don't hate anything about this film. This film is well done. Um, so you know what you're getting into because Tom Savini did the special effects. So right there, you're just in for a treat right away. In which Tom Savini himself actually acted in this movie as, I think, Disco Boy is what his title is on the credits. In which he is involved with a very explosive scene. Basically, he's making out with this girl named Disco Girl. I'm pretty sure that's their names in the credit. Um, but yeah, so he's making out in the car with her. They get weirded out because Frank is staring in at them, and so they go to leave. And you can tell he's like frustrated because he ain't getting no ass. He's like, so he goes to leave and he flips on the lights, and that's when Frank hops up on the hood real quick, points double barrel shotgun right at Tom Savini's head, and I mean, just quite an amazing headshot scene, or head explosion scene. So, well, head explosion scene, shall I say? Um, Overall, fun film, and even the ending, I couldn't have asked for a better ending. And again, if you're watching this, you probably know about this movie, and sorry if I'm spoiling things for you with both of these films, but the ending scene is just phenomenal. I couldn't have asked for a better one. The the mannequins coming to life, and it you could really tell how messed up his head is, because he's imagining that these mannequins are coming to life and ripping him apart. That's cool. But in the end, you see him and the mannequins are just still sitting there, and he's laying in bed. you know I think he had a knife in his stomach at that point, because one of them stabs him in the stomach, and then the cops bust in, and then that's the end of the movie. um Overall, great stuff. I can't say enough about this. It really captures the essence of, what is it, 42nd Street, just a really raunchy, nasty area of New York, and it really captures it well. So honestly, I'm quite amazed and love this movie, and I really need to upgrade to Blu-ray. I think for this one, both of them really. Uh, but yeah, one of the other things about this movie, and maybe you guys can kind of explain this to me, or maybe somebody knows an answer to this, but something I've picked up on this movie, and I've kind of wondered over the years, and honestly I can't find anything on it. Um, but I believe there's an Easter egg in this movie. So there's a scene where Frank is murdering a girl in the bathroom of the subway, and obviously Joe Spinell from not only the Rocky movie but The Godfather as well, in which stars Marlon Brando. as the Godfather. Okay, well, Marlon Brando did a movie prior to this one, I believe. It was prior to this one. I'm pretty sure it was. But Apocalypse Now. So in the scene when he's murdering the girl, that's written on the wall. Apocalypse Now. So my question is that an Easter egg? I would love to know because I've wondered that throughout the years of enjoying this film and just haven't been able to ever find anything on it or anything like that. So please, if you know something, leave a comment down below or where I could find that information out. That'd be great. Um, but yeah, like I said, if you want me to do a review on the remake, which I really like that movie actually, I was afraid to give the remake a chance at all, and I actually liked it. It was actually really cool. It was a different take, but it definitely delivered, and it paid homage to the original, and I love that. So it was a remake, but it was made into its own style, and that's what I loved about it. So, like I said, if you want, I can do a review on that. Um, just let me know in the comment section below. And as always, hit me up. You guys want to talk about do you love these two movies? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. Also, follow me on my group on Facebook. Check us out. I'm posting through there throughout the week. Um, and then, as always, like, share, subscribe. Yeah, tell your friends. Get me out there. Let's keep this thing going. And next episode I'm going to be dropping is actually going to be kind of an overview of what films I've acquired in the month of April. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else coming in the mail for me this month, so I think I'm done. I believe I've got 10 movies to um, put on here and talk to you guys about. And honestly, I don't think I watched one. And that was I did a review on Crawl, so that is one of them I got in this month. But yeah, let me know if you guys have seen any of the films that I'm gonna be going over and sharing with you guys. But for now, talk to you guys later. Bye.